So one thing that gets Doctor Who fans excited whenever new series come around of Doctor Who is the return of classic monsters or villains from the classic series. Monsters or villains like the Master, the Daleks, the Cybermen, the Zygons, the Sontarans, the Rani. But with Doctor Who, with new Doctor Who at least, now 20 years old, I do begin to wonder, from NuWho at least, which monsters or villains introduced in the new series will be seen as future classics by future generations. So I thought today I'd start a list of the monsters and villains introduced in NuWho. Which ones do I think will become future classics, so to speak, and which ones are best left to the mists of time. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Starting off, number 1, Lady Cassandra O'Brien, the last human played, or voiced at least, by actress Zoe Wanamaker. She made 2 appearances in NuWho, in 2005's The End of the World and in 2006's New Earth. Now, with each of these future classics, I'm going to be judging whether they should become future classics, i.e., do I think they should return at some point, or do I think they will be well remembered? And the answer I will give will either be a yes, a no, or a 50-50. If I think it's 50-50 whether they should be remembered or whether they should return. Now, for Lady Cassandra O'Brien, I would say no on a return, but yes, she should be remembered. In her 2 appearances, Cassandra certainly made an impression. The trampoline from hell, you're not going to forget her for a while. And even when it wasn't directly Zoe Wanamaker playing her, it looked like Billy Piper and David Tennant in New Earth were having such fun playing her, just being all catty, like, oh, you've been looking, have you? Or just like, she looks like such fun to play, but I think she's been gone for too long, and I think they've pretty much done all the story ideas that they could do with Cassandra. So, for me, no on a return of Cassandra, but yes, she probably will be remembered. Number 2, the Gelth, as appeared in 2005's The Unquiet Dead. Now, The Unquiet Dead is a story that I enjoy. I watch it every year as part of my Doctor Who festive marathon around Christmas time. That being said, do I think they're future classics? Do I think they should return? Do I think they will be remembered? To both of those questions, I would probably say no. I mean, it's not uncommon for Doctor Who to do kind of monsters or creatures based around kind of existing folklore. There's another monster coming up on the list that I will talk about as well that's kind of based on something within folklore. And the Gelth, while they do resemble ghosts, Doctor Who has done ghosts before and since, and I honestly think there's nothing really that special to make these ghosts kind of stand out. I mean, yes, it's around Christmas time and they've got Charles Dickens, and they do fit in rather well, but in terms of everything else, I'm not sure the Gelth really stand out. If you disagree with me on any of these, feel free to comment down below. But for me, the Gelth will not be remembered as future classics. Now we come up to one of the 50-50s. As for my next one, the Slitheen. The Slitheen appeared in the first series of Doctor Who in the 2-part episode Aliens of London and World War III, and also made a return in Boomtown. And they would later transfer over to the CBBC Doctor Who spin-off The Sarah Jane Adventures, where they would appear in episodes such as Revenge of the Slitheen, The Lost Boy, The Gift, and at the start of The Nightmare Man. Do I think these guys should return? This is my first 50-50. I feel like you could include them in background shots like they did in The End of Time Part 2, like in the alien bar where Captain Jack Harkness is. You see a Slitheen passing by there. If you can find an idea that would work for another Slitheen story, I wouldn't mind seeing them again. Oh, at one point in time, the Slitheen were actually due to appear in 2006's The Impossible Planet and the Satan Pit. Like, they were originally going to be the alien force in this story, before the Ood were introduced as a cost-cutting measure, because the Ood could be replicated fairly cheaply and fairly easily, whereas the Slitheen did require a lot of CGI work. But, as I said, 50-50 on whether I think they should return. Do I think they'll be remembered? That one's actually yes, because you can have your own opinions on whether the Slitheen work as a monster. Like, some really don't like them for the overuse of fart jokes or the like, but whether you like them or whether you hate them, they are still going to be remembered. So for me, I would say the Slitheen, they're a future classic by this point. Thanks to their appearance in both Doctor Who and the Sarah Jane Adventures, they're not going to be forgotten for a while. So I would say they're a future classic. Next up, the mighty Jagrafess of the Holy Hadrojastic Maxwell Rodent foe. Well, that's a mouthful. That appeared in Series 1's The Long Game. Do I think it should make a return? No. Do I think it will be remembered? Also no. This is another case for me like the Gelth, that I don't think this thing is going to be particularly well remembered. I mean, it was kind of monstrous to look at, especially with those sharp teeth. But for me, the Jagrafess wasn't the scariest part of The Long Game. That was Simon Pegg's performance as the editor. To which, side note, would I like him to return, and do I consider him a future classic? No. Like, Simon Pegg is a great actor. I mean, but Doctor Who, while I do love his appearance in Doctor Who, it's not the role that he's going to be remembered the most for. I mean, other roles like Paul or the Cornetto trilogy, Star Trek, those are the big names that he's going to be remembered for. It's good to see him in Doctor Who, but the editor and the Jagrafess, they're not future classics. I'm sorry. Next up, The Reapers from Father's Day. This is a case for me where both of them I'm 50-50 on. Like, The Reapers, I think I would be more accepting if they had appeared more in Doctor Who. I mean, with all the kind of time shenanigans going on, you'd think The Reapers would be a fairly regular appearance. But in terms of the screen, we only see them once in 2005's Father's Day. And outside the main franchise, the only other place I've seen them is they pop up in the Doctor Who comic Four Doctors, when Doctors 10, 11 and 12 end up meeting up. A time schism happens that results in the Reapers appearing. I feel like they could have shown up more, like in the Sarah Jane Adventures story, The Temptation of Sarah Jane Smith. When they return back to the present day and find the Trickster has taken over, maybe if they'd shown the Reapers kind of flying over in the distance, over the landscape, then I might be a bit more accepting. But given we've only seen them once and never again, I feel like there's a bit of a missed opportunity with them. So for both, do I think they'll return or do I think they should be remembered? 50-50 on both. Next up, actually, I realised going down my list I've missed one. The Empty Child and also the Nanogenes from The Empty Child and the Doctor Dances. I don't know how I've left them off my list. This is one where I wouldn't like to see the Empty Child itself return. Like, this was a really scary episode. They managed to make a 4-year-old in a gas mask scary, and I applaud them for that. I wouldn't like to see the Empty Child again, because I think it will be remembered as a future classic. I mean, Stephen Moffat brought his A-game with that one. But with the Nanogenes, I wouldn't mind seeing them again. Like, if somehow the Doctor ended up in the 51st century, if he was able to kind of see the Nanogenes again, then maybe that could work for a story. So, The Empty Child will be remembered as a future classic. I wouldn't like to see it again. The Nanogenes, maybe not so much remembered as a future classic, but I wouldn't mind seeing it again. Anyway, back to where I was. Next up, we've got the Sycorax from the 2005 Christmas special, The Christmas Invasion. I'm 50-50 whether I want them to return or not, but I think they've made enough of an impression that they could be remembered as future classics. Hell, I believe they were even part of the Alliance, the Lock's the 11th Doctor in the Pandorica, in the Pandorica Opens in 2010. So, I'm 50-50 on whether they should return, but I don't mind seeing them again. The Werewolf from 2006's Tooth and Claw. There's a no for both of them. Like with the Gelth, it's based on existing thing from Earth folklore, that being a werewolf, and it does its job fine, but it's not one that's going to be particularly well remembered, at least not within the Doctor Who franchise itself. The Krillitanes from School Reunion in 2006. This is one I'm 50-50 on both, because as the Doctor says in the episode, the Krillitanes are kind of like society. Our bits of our society are made up from people we've conquered or been conquered by. Bits of Viking, bits of France, bits of whatever. So, if the Krillitanes for me could show up again with a different appearance. I mean, they do well enough here in School Reunion, but I do think that there's an opportunity they could come back at some point with an entirely new look. So I'm 50-50 on both. The Clockwork Droids. 50-50 on whether they should return, but given they totally had two appearances in The Girl in the Fireplace and in 2014's Deep Breath, I think they've got enough there to be remembered as future classics. The Wire. No on return, no on remember. I remember I was actually scared of this thing when it first aired in 2006, but it wasn't really The Wire that scared me, it was the state it left its victims in. I remember seeing kind of the blank-faced Billy Piper, and I was scared of that thing, but I did re-review The Idiot's Lantern shortly after Queen Elizabeth II passed away, and I have to admit it wasn't quite as scary as it had been when I was 9. So, The Wire for me, it's a no on both counts. The Ood. Should they return? Sure, why not? Hey, they've done so several times. Should they be remembered? They're already remembered. So yeah, the Ood for me are automatically future classics. As for the Beast, I don't think it should return. Do I think it'll be remembered? Well, it's effectively the Beast already. It's Satan, or at least a form of Satan. And honestly, that's probably good enough to be remembered by. It's a monstrous creature. I wouldn't like to see it again, but it probably will be remembered in some form. The Absorbaloff from Love and Monsters. This is a case where I don't think it should come back. Really, I don't think it should come back. Love and Monsters and Fear Her are both two episodes that people seem to have divisive opinions on which one's worse and the like. But here's the thing about the Absorbaloff. I wouldn't like to see it again, but because of all the kind of controversy that it had, it is going to be remembered. I mean, as I said, people are going to remember this episode for a long time, especially the fact that it was played by Peter Kay. And seemingly the biggest argument people have about Peter Kay as the Absorbaloff is that when he wasn't in kind of the green latex costume, his human form was intimidating, like Victor Kennedy. But once he put the green makeup on, it just became rather laughable. But at the same time, he is going to be remembered for it. So, no on the Absorbaloff returning, but sure on it being remembered. The Isolus from Fear Her in 2006. No on both counts. No, I wouldn't like to see it return, and no, I don't think it's going to be well remembered. I mean, once again, the actress who was playing Chloe Webber, she did her best, and she certainly did have some spooky moments, but I don't think the Isolus is the monster or the creature that people are going to remember. Finally, wrapping up the last two for this particular video, we've got the Rachnos, played by Sarah Parish. I wouldn't like to see this thing again, but should it be remembered? Yeah, sure, why not? I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of spiders. I mean, I just put one out yesterday that I was rather scared of, but the Rachnos, I think Sarah Parish did well enough in this story. She made it menacing, and I think it'll probably be remembered. And as for the pilot fish minions that she had, the mechanoids, the pilot fish, given their two appearances in The Christmas Invasion and The Runaway Bride as Santas, do I think they should return? The time for them has probably passed, but do I think they'll be remembered? I'd say yes. I mean, the pilot fish, as I said, they're basically mechanoids disguised as Santa. Ruthless mechanoids disguised as Santas, but they did their job well enough that I think they will be remembered, even if we don't necessarily need to see them again, at least not for a while. Anyway, I hope to do another one of these videos. Maybe my next one will focus on series 3 through 4. But for the time being, series 1 to 2 of Doctor Who, there are the monsters that I think could be future classics. Anyway, until next time, see ya.